You're listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. To guide us through the intricacies and intersections of emotions, relationships, and male identity is renowned psychologist, author, and speaker Gunter. This is Inspire Change.
Before I begin the actual podcast, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I work. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. Hey, welcome everybody, all you lovely people out there. Globally, we're hitting a lot of different countries, and I'm really excited about the fact that so many people appear to be interested in inspiring change, both for themselves but also in their communities. Because if we change as an individual, we're going to have a positive impact on our families, our communities, and hopefully even broader than that. So let me ask you something. Do you know what the difference between meditation, mindfulness actually is? I get this question often put to me, like, what's the difference? And so in this podcast, what I want to do is I want to explore essentially the differences between meditation and mindfulness, because these terms are often used interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. Okay, so, I've been accused of being a bit anal about definitions. And both in science, in philosophy, politics, wherever we go, we should actually be a little bit pedantic about how we use our language and the words of it and the concepts of it. So let me start off with sort of giving you an understanding of, in a short way, what meditation is about. So fundamentally, meditation is a practice where, as an individual, I train my mind to achieve a state of calm, to achieve a state of inner peace. It involves focusing your attention on a particular object or activity to calm the mind and reduce stress. Now, this particular practice has been around for centuries and is found in lots of different cultures and traditions. Now, one of the things that I talk about when I look at what meditation really is about, for me, meditation is the act of sitting and simply observing my inner world. I don't engage with it. I'm not attached to it. And that includes thoughts, feelings, beliefs, attitudes, whatever is going on in my crazy head. Okay, but I don't buy into it. So, if I have this flash of a thought to blow up the neighbour's, mailbox because he was, particularly noisy on a morning where I wanted to sleep in, I don't do it. I don't engage with that. I don't either freak out about the fact I must be an evil person for having that thought, but I also don't act on it. Okay, so the thought is not me. Now, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being present and fully engaged in the moment. It's the mental state where you are aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. However, the key difference between meditation and mindfulness is the fact that mindfulness can be practiced anywhere at any time, and it is simply a way of being. Now, here's the thing. The two fundamentally are actually linked. Meditation allows me to practice the capacity to be non-attached and therefore be able to be present and engaged within the moment with whatever it is that I'm doing. So while both practices involve focusing the mind, they differ in their approach and purpose. So meditation is the technique that helps you to calm your mind. Now, the upshot of this is that it reduces stress, right? especially if we're very good at using abdominal breathing in the process. And this is where I talk about, getting to the point of being able to really engage in meditation. You need to be able to release muscle tension, and you need to be able to breathe abdominally to get the real bang for your buck out of this process. So when I talk about mindfulness, imagine being able to be completely, as much as possible, present with whatever it is that you're doing. So let's take eating. Imagine, you're looking at the fruit bowl and you come up with this desire to have a piece of fruit. And you choose, your poison in a sense. It could be an apple, it could be a pear, it could be a banana, whatever it is, it could be a bunch of grapes. Now, at that point, as you choose and then bite into that piece of fruit, it is about being completely engaged with what it is that you're experiencing. All your senses, smell, sight, taste buds. And one of the things that happens with that is that it becomes a much more satisfying experience. Because, you're not rushing through this. So we can apply that to all sorts of things. Everything that you do in your life could be done mindfully. So let me get into explaining a little bit more in detail about meditation and then about mindfulness. So, as I said, meditation is often associated with sitting in a specific posture and focusing your attention on your breath or a specific object, such as a candle flame. So that's a good way to start off. Ultimately, the goal of meditation is to have a quiet, a silent mind, and therefore be in a complete state of calm. In Buddhism, they talk about shutting down the monkey mind, which wants to just chatter all the time and divert you away from the truth of being in the present. Now, there's lots of types of meditation. There's guided meditation, which is basically listening to a guided meditation recording that helps you to focus your attention on your breath or a particular object. Good starting point. Then there's transcendental meditation, and this technique involves repeating a specific mantra to quieten the mind and achieve a deep state of relaxation. Also, really a good way to start. Mindfulness meditation, and this is where we can combine the two more specifically, is a practice that involves focusing your attention on the present moment and becoming aware of your sensations, your thoughts, your feelings, but free of judgment, free of engagement. Now, the benefits of meditation are huge. A regular meditation practice can help you reduce stress, improve focus, help you to be able to concentrate better. But physically, physiologically, it also means that you can experience a lower blood pressure because your heart beats slower. And again, this comes with an increased feeling of calmness and inner peace. One of the things that I talk about when I work with people who are anxious is, when we're anxious, essentially we've got the foot on the accelerator the whole time. We don't lift it off. If we want to slow down, we keep the foot on the accelerator and then we put the brake on. And guess what's going to happen to your Ferrari? Eventually it's going to blow the engine, burn out the brakes and blow the engine. And believe me, I love the analogy in a way, because I like cars, of mechanistically seeing ourselves often as, we've got a Ferrari, but most of us treat it like the junk heap from next door that's been sitting in the yard and only gets used occasionally or exercised or serviced occasionally. Now, that might be a bit extreme, and some of you might take offence to this, but it's true. When I work with men, a large problem with a lot of guys is they take forever to go to the doctor, even when there's something seriously wrong. And they know it's seriously wrong often, but they just keep putting it off and off and off, and until the point where it's basically, in some cases, too late. Right? So let's take a look then of mindfulness and the practices that we can actually, the exercises that we can actually put together for this. Okay, remember, the goal is to be present in the moment without judgment. It involves paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and sensations and surroundings, but in a non-judgmental way. So, unlike meditation, as we said, you can do mindfulness anywhere. You can practice it anywhere. I'm not a particularly patient human being outside of my work, and so cues for me are seriously frustrating. And so one of the things that I do is I just focus on the present and not on my mind that's trying to go, God, this is a waste of time. You could be doing something else. And why don't you get out of here and, look at the service. It's really slow. And why is this person, asking stupid questions of the, counter staff? They should have thought that before. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? Drop it. The whole bit is I'm in the queue and eventually I will get to the front of the queue. And it sometimes doesn't even need to be that. It's just the experience of standing, which can in fact be quite pleasant. So there's lots of different techniques that we can engage with to cultivate mindfulness. One of the basic ones, and I think this is particularly useful, is body scans. And what this requires is you scanning your body from head to toe and noticing any sensations, feelings, tensions, whatever it is that you're experiencing right then and there. One of the things of practicing Zen in the beginning was that, within a little while my mind would, sort of pay attention to that. Oh, my leg's a bit tight, or my back's hurt. I've got this itch between my shoulder blades, and blah, blah, blah. But eventually the body scan is simply to go through that and experiencing where there is a piece of difference in my experience, tension in my shoulder, my neck, and then we can just observe that. The other exercise is mindful breathing. Now, this technique involves focusing your attention on your breath. And I work with a very simple pattern of abdominal breathing where you go 5 seconds in, you hold it for 5 seconds, and then you breathe out for 5 seconds. And on the breath out, you just notice the exhale. Nothing else. Now, as I used food before, and yes, I do like my food. I enjoy it very much. And I'm a very mindful eater. I don't rush my food. I love to enjoy what it is that, and it is usually what my wife cooks, and she's a great cook. And so I want to be able to taste it and experience the different textures and smells and, tastes that come through, especially with something that's a little bit more complex like a curry or, a stir fry made with different herbs and spices and so on. But, that is actually a technique, mindful eating. Enjoy the food more. When you take that sip of water, right? Some of you might have thought I was about to say wine. And you can do that. But even water has a particular, texture and, experience to take that in, that we can immerse ourselves in and be conscious of what it is. So like meditation, the benefits of mindfulness are legion. It's not just about reducing stress, and it does that. But it is a way of experience yourself and your environment in a much richer way. Often, and Zen points this out, a state of awareness is so shallow and narrow that our experience, our enjoyment, our satisfaction is actually so reduced. and that we either live in a state of regret or anxiety a lot of the time, about, what happened in the past, what happened in the future, rather than just being in the now and looking around and appreciating that. The acceptance of the now, the embracing of the now, is fundamentally the goal. And whether you get happy out of that or satisfied or whatever, that isn't the goal. It's the present, to be in the present. Even speaking with your partner, rather than paying attention to what your head's telling you about what she or he is saying, just pay attention. Hear, listen, mindfully listen. And then the next step, and I've done a podcast on this, is speak mindfully. Choose your words. Think about how you're going to phrase something and then express it. It's about being responsive, not reactive. So, if we're going to change for the better, individually and socially, both of these things can make an enormous difference. I often point out, if I could get, mindfulness and meditation practiced right through school, from the time the kid hits kindy to the time they come out of high school, it'll set a way of being for that student that's going to take them, into a much, much healthier place. We will have a greater sense of well-being, physically and mentally. But for whatever reason, we're really resistant to doing this. I get all sorts of, I didn't have time to do it. Right, but you do understand that the payoff in the long term is going to be really good. And so what a lot of people exercise in that is, and it gets in the way, is this present hedonism. I'll do the least amount of work in the moment according to how I feel, not according to what is in my best interest. See, as much as living in the present is important, there are maintenance things that we as human beings need to do that are going to give us longevity. Watch people smoke and they enjoy it. They take the cigarette out of the packet, they put it in their mouth, they take the lighter, they flick on the lighter, the flame bursts, and then they draw in deeply. And they hold it, and then they breathe out slowly. Now, it's a little similar, actually, to abdominal breathing, with the exception that when you're drawing in smoke, you're drawing in toxins that in the long run are likely to kill you. They're not going to enhance your being. Imagine being, wearing an oxygen mask so your body can just get that little bit more oxygen. Otherwise, you expire and your brain fries. That's not living. That's a disaster. I've never, I did work in aged care where a number of people had emphysema and lung cancer. And, the observation they always made was, I should have paid more attention. I should have stopped smoking. But, the crazy thing is, with the people that I worked with in those days, doctors were prescribing smoking for women to suppress appetite and even to help them to just be calmer. Yep, pretty nuts. And then we're talking about, the 40s and 50s, possibly going back further. So, being in the moment, being in the present is the foundation. The maintenance of it is the things you do to maintain that, to shore it up. And on that note, I'll leave you with a whole bunch of things to think about. But now I hope you will understand the difference between meditation and mindfulness and how it can fit into your life to make your life better, longer. Until next time, this is me signing off.
Thank you for listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. For more information on the Making Good Men Great movement, or for individual or group coaching sessions with Gunter, visit makinggoodmengreat.com. For inquiries regarding broadcast topics or appearing on the show, email Miranda at noirtainment.com. That's Miranda at noirtainment.com.